Let me tell you a story. It's personal and professional. It's about business, and it's deeply human. It's about a CEO's past and his future. It's about finding your spark. This is John's story. They warned me that John, not his real name, would be hard to coach. I heard it from multiple sources. He was the CEO of a company they'd acquired and was presenting at their annual customer event. As a serious number cruncher, it was implied, although never directly said, that he was hard to listen to. They were so wrong. I'm going to tell you how storytelling coaching changed more than John's ability to appear in front of an audience. It changed his life. Whether you're a CEO working to motivate a group of employees, a parent trying to convince your child to unpack the dishwasher, or a politician trying to win an election, telling stories will help you achieve your goal, after all. Facts tell, but stories sell. In the 20 years I've spent in marketing, I've searched for the combination of motivation, authenticity, and meaning that I believe make up a great story. Occasionally I've found it in a beautiful or inspiring campaign like Dove's Real Beauty Sketches, You're More Beautiful Than You Think, that makes me cry every single time I watch that video. And I've discovered it in recordings like Mercer did about the special education needs teachers they helped in Singapore to actually earn more money and be recognized for the wonderful work that they do. The storytelling is often used in a business-to-consumer context, and those marketing campaigns can create a very positive brand association. Patagonia, for example, has been acknowledged to excel at making a profit while simultaneously doing good. It's simply part of their brand. But business-to-business, B2B examples are much harder to find. I wondered why. Is this because B2B organizations take themselves more seriously? Do they not give customer evidence and stories the credence they deserve? Or could there be a leadership communication challenge underneath? I believe it's all three, but mostly, I suspect, it may be the latter. In this vein, I wondered, what would happen if senior leaders, particularly CEOs, could see themselves as storytellers, as vanguards of positive brand associations, as an embodiment of the customer's voice? What would happen if CEOs got genuinely excited about drawing out an audience using engaged storytelling tactics? I tested this hypothesis with John. John and I started working together on the last day of October. 16 days later, he was standing up, moderating a panel of customers at his company's event. He made the audience laugh, he made them groan. He got even one customer to commit to start building a deal with another right there on stage. But more than that, he rediscovered his spark. When John reported back to me after the event that he had great things to say, I heard how the CEO of the company who had acquired his was at the event in the audience. He said, "John, we've got to get you on stage more." What did we do that shifted him from number cruncher to super presenter? I'll tell you. Some of them were slightly unusual. We cut what he was saying by 50%. I rehearsed his panel discussion by role-playing the customers and preparing him for the unexpected. I even threw in an accent or two, just to mix things up. And at one point I told John, "That's enough. Stop rehearsing." You see, John suffers from the curse of knowledge. He can't unknow what he already knows, but he also thinks that everyone needs the same level of detail, thoroughness, and evidence that he does. But that wasn't what his audience needed. They needed to see the real him. Over the duration of our coaching, John realized that the real him had every right to be present on stage. And somehow, by losing the fear of needing to be perfect, something shifted in him. John said, I used to present a lot more when I was running my business. I had passion and knowledge and drive. This has just helped, given me an added leap to try to get back to what I was doing. And it's helped me look at removing some of my self-created barriers. I said to John, this is the person you were meant to be. And he simply replied, you know who got this going, Gina? You. How did I know how to help John? I'm a storyteller, a coach, a ghostwriter, a TEDx speaker. I'm not a mind reader, but I saw something in him that others didn't. I knew that someone who had run a company would not be a bad speaker. He just needed something to remind him of his greatness. And I leveraged a lifetime of marketing experience, a deep fascination with leadership theory, and personal experience on boards and in corporate life to bring it out of him. But I also saw something else in John. Authenticity. Authenticity is the hidden weapon in the C-suite's arsenal. All John had to do was align his passion and purpose with his customer's true story, and the result was sterling success. There are some advantages to having worked in marketing for 20 plus years and specializing in customer storytelling. I know how compelling authentic stories are. Everyone will listen to a CEO, but they will believe a customer. That's why getting a customer up on stage is so compelling. But to get the most out of it, everyone needs to be prepared. And often the best place to start this preparation is with the leaders themselves. John's example reminds us that leaders' self-perception influences their ability to tell stories. John had lost his mojo, but we helped him find it together, because often the most powerful story is the one we tell ourselves. The good news is we can change our stories. During our work together, John stopped worrying about finding facts and stats to support every element of his presentation and realized that the panel discussion session was not about him. He didn't need to prove he was smart, capable, well-researched, or the expert. He needed to bring it out in others, and he did in the end. But John improved his presence on stage and told better business stories as a result, and that wasn't the end. He encouraged his customers to tell their stories, which empowered and transformed him to take control of their narrative and his own internal narrative. We did it in multiple ways. Through coaching, we identified the unhelpful narrative he was telling himself, which was limiting his effectiveness, and replaced it with a positive one. When he stopped seeing himself as the focal point of a panel discussion, he shifted to focusing on how to make his customers shine. By improving his professional speaking skills, we were able to help him shorten his sentences, stop relying on notes, and speak in an engaged, excited way. Having found his spark, he could present his whole, authentic, engaged self on stage. Lastly, by focusing on getting the writing right before he learned a long speech off by heart, we made it punchy, powerful, and even funny. He could answer the question, what's in it for you, for his audience, and they got more out of it as a result. Through the power of communication and persuasion, we reignited the CEO's sparkle. In this investigation, we discovered how leaders' self-perception influences their ability to tell story, how leaders can be empowered and transformed by shifting their presence on stage, and how leaders use stories to improve authenticity and credibility. As I wrap up, I'd like to ask you two questions. These are the two questions I'd like to challenge you with. Firstly, if you could change one thing about the way you speak, present, perform, or engage with others, what would it be? Secondly, what's stopping you from doing that right now? Remember, facts tell, but stories sell.